Okay, here is speedrun of number one fan 2023 part one. This is the Asia Pacific qualifier from 2023. The VBA and lambdas I'm using you can download at the link in the description. I'll be using some custom stuff for this first one, right? So first, string to array to make that into an array. Now I gotta make these numbers here, right? Which is a sequence of the length of the code, rows, one column. It starts at 0, right? Multiply that times the delta and add 1. And then I've got this offset letter, which works with arrays. So that array is offset by that many numbers. And it's got to be negative because I'm decoding, not encoding. And then I, concatenate them together, and I broke the code. All right, poker time and flight to nowhere. I'll get back to those. Let's do the 0 ones first. So I need the force here for my tug of war game. So what if I transpose this force right here? I'm just going to I need the difference in force between the two teams, right? So sum product of this and this, right? And I just subtract that from the other team. One of them, one of them's based on the other team, right? So there's tug of war. All right, the car racing, I'm gonna do, gotta transpose these dice here, right? But I want it's 2 dice per turn, right? So wrap rows by 2. I've got a die pips lambda, which will turn the dice symbols into numbers. And then, I want to sum these by rows. So by row sum. All right, so those are the dice rolls. I'm going to do you're going to try to land on a space. That's space 1. And then you're going to land for real on space 2. Then I'm going to see if you're done or not. Starting point is 0. So first of all, you're going to go forward the number on the dice. Now you check for lucky number 7 to see if you go farther, right? So if count substring of that has a lucky number 7 in it as a string, then you move that space plus the roll. So you get your roll again that counts. Otherwise, you just stay where you were, right? Which is F41. Now I check to see if you're done. So if this is strictly greater than 134, then you're done. Otherwise, you're not done. Whoops. Going for this little box here. Now let's look up 1 when you're done on there on sequence 20 there. And that's my racing game. Okay, back to poker. This one's a little tricky, right? So gonna transpose all the cards. I've got a customizable lookup table for cards. There's a few things I need to know about the card, right? So I need to know the suit. I need to know the rank, the symbol for the rank at least. I need to know the sequence number, and I need to take into account both ace high and ace low. So there's 2 different sequences. I need to know how many points it's worth. And then I need to know if you have each of these poker hands, right? So if you don't know the rules of poker, this is going to be a little tricky for you. So let's first of all, right? So the suit is the right character. The rank is the left character, right? So for 10, I'm using 1 to represent 10. This should just be F that. So the sequence, I'm going to look up the rank over here on my prep table. There is the sequence, column H. Now I'm going to make an ace low sequence because my table assumes that ace is 14. But if that's an ace, then I'm going to change it to a 1. Otherwise, keep it the same. So that this accounts for ace being 1. And I need the points, right? Which is just looking up from what, H instead of I, right? So if I look up in H, that's going to be the number of points that it's worth if there's no other hand. All right, so now I got to, I'm going to add some fake cards. Just so I can have a full hand from the start without matching anything, right? So I don't know, the B of X, C X, DX, EX. Those are some good fake cards. Those aren't gonna mess with anything. All right, so the suit and the rank are fake. Count 99 is the sequence and 0 is the points. All right, so now I'm ready to test for poker hands. I'm going to test for 2 of a kind, 3 of a kind, and 4 of a kind, right? So, and it has to be including this card, the magic card that's dealt. That has to be part of it or else it doesn't count. So count if that is in this group is equal to 1. If so, it's a pair, which is worth 50 points. Otherwise, 0 points, right? And I'm just, no, 1,500. What happened? All right, this. No, if count if that equals 1, if. So let's say if count if that equals 1. Count if the range comes before the criteria. All right. So now, and these, make this a little smaller so I can actually see it. So for 3 of a kind and 4 of a kind, 3 of a kind, if there's 2 matches, that makes it 3 of a kind, which is worth 250 according to our table. And if there is 3 matches, that makes it a 4 of a kind, which is worth 5,000 points, right? Next, I'm going to do a flush, right? So if rows unique should do it. So if there's only 1 unique value in there, that means they're all the same, which means it is a flush, which is worth 1,000 points. Straight, I have to do twice. So there's straight and there's straight 2 for ace high and ace low. All right, so this is based on the sequence. So 2 things have to be true. So if and use a custom lambda, which is unique. So these sequences have to be unique, no pairs, or it's not a straight. And the maximum of the sequence number minus the minimum of the sequence number has to be equal to 4, right? So you have like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then 6 minus 2 is 4, and that's straight. That's the end of the and. So if that is true, then it's a straight, which is worth 500. Otherwise, 0. Same thing for these ace low straights. Finally, we're going to do a straight flush. So equals if and or. So either of these straights, right? So if it's a straight based on either of those, or if it's a flush, then you get 10,000 points. Otherwise, no thank you. And now we're going to do the hard one, right? 2 pair. Okay, so to do 2 pair, we're going to do this, count on the rank, right? Count if. So this gives you, the frequency. How many E's are there? How many D's? How many C's? So it's 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, right? So if this was 2 pair, it'd be, 2, 2, 2, 2, 1. Right, and if it was a full house, which also counts as a 2 pair in this game, it would be 3, 3, 2, 2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, I'm going to sort it. I'm going to sort it, ascending, right? Then I'm going to take the second value. So if that is greater than or equal to 2, that means you have 4 cards that are paired in your hand, which means you at least have 2 pair or better, right? And I'm finding the max of these, so I don't mind if I do better, right? So that's 2 pair or better. And then, the max of all these is the number of points I'm going to get, including the original points. So if I sum these up, we are going to get 16,939. All right, flight to nowhere. So now we're going to look at these flights. There's 2 different sets of numbers. One of them I'm going to call the serial number, which is just the 1 to 50. And then the other I'm going to call the flight number, right? Which is, 259 was the last one placed in the instructions, so in the examples. So let's say that, how many do we need? Let's say 500 will be enough, okay? And if not, we'll make it bigger. All right, so flight number is there. I need the serial to test. So what serial number am I going to test? And I'll wrap rows to make this readable. All right, so what serial number am I going to test? Is it a Canada flight? Is it okay for Canada? Is the number a number that's allowed for Canada? Is it a flight to nowhere? And is it okay for a flight to nowhere? Once I know those, now I can decide if I can place it or not. Then I need to decide if I am done or not. All right, so the first serial number we test is 1. Might as well put the actual flight here since I'm going to need that. So I look up the serial number, on this. Is it Canada? Well, if the first, Canada is Toronto, Montreal starts with Y. So if the first airport or the second airport starts with Y. So if or leftmost character of this is Y, or the mid character of this 5, right? So if the 5th character is Y, then that means it's either starting at Montreal or ending at Montreal. So yes, it is or Toronto. So yes, it is Canada. Is this flight number okay for Canada? Well, we're looking for lucky number 7 again. So if count substring and the flight number, if there's a 7 string in there, right? If that count is greater than 0, then it's okay for Canada. Otherwise, it's not. Is it nowhere? Well, if the left 3 most characters equals the right 3 most characters, then it is a flight to nowhere. Otherwise, it's not. And for okay for nowhere, I'm going to use a little custom is unique and another custom string to array, right? So if the flight number as a string, as an array, has no repeated elements, if it is unique, then it is not okay for flight to nowhere. Otherwise, it is, because flight to nowhere has to have repeat numbers. So do I place it? Well, so the first or is if it is not Canada, or if it is okay for Canada, then it passes the Canada test. And if it is not nowhere, or if it is okay for nowhere, then it passes the nowhere test. And if so, then I place it. Otherwise, I do not place it. And I am done if I just placed a flight and that flight was serial number 50. If both of those happens, then I'm done. Otherwise, I'm not. So we put these down. It's not quite doing what I want. Oh, because I'm just testing every flight, right? So now if this, right? So if I placed it, then it's time to move on to the next flight. Otherwise, do the same flight again, right? Now, this is the same. Now I can put the whole thing down here. And this lookup table's got to stay locked, of course. Now we see what our Canadian flight here gets placed at 7. Flight to nowhere gets placed at 11. Canadian flight to nowhere goes all the way down to 77. All right, it's looking pretty good. So look up a 1 on Madun. returning on sequence 500, which is here. And there you go, 259th flight is the one that gets placed. And ideally, these will all be right now. Let's see. Nah, I got poker problems. I know exactly what I did wrong. I did not check for the magic card on 2-pair. I just checked for 2-pair. I got to check for the magic card. Remember what I said about magic cards? So if the last card has to be included in it, right? So what I'm going to do now is say all this has to be true and it has to be a pair, right? If it's not a pair, it can't be including the magic card. It can't be 2-pair, right? Now, this does not cause you to get the example wrong, but it does cause you to get other things wrong. So if I fix that, now poker is all right. Flights, tug of war, dice game, and codes are all right. 8,250 points so far. All right, how many letters total in section 1? Well, you know, length of all this stuff. It's like 128. Total face value of the cards. Remember, the face cards are 10 each. So for the example deck here, right, it's this number of points, 376. And every deck is the same. They're just shuffled. So 20 times 376 is the answer there. How many flights to nowhere are there? Gonna take advantage of this code I've got already. Let me make this into, you know, bonus 3 instead of level 3. So for bonus 3 now, I want to do the flights to nowhere. I mean, I can do this just like this based on the serial, right? Yeah, let's do this like this. All right, so the sum of these is the number of flights to nowhere. Put it on, and I see here on my bar, right next to me with this hand, right? It is 89. Okay, so 89 is the correct number for flights to nowhere. I hope. Yes, it is. All right, in tug of war, if the elephant is not the heaviest, then what is the team's total, right? So I'm going to make this bonus 4. Now I care about the mass. I didn't before. So, you know, just transpose the mass real fast here. Now each team's mass is not some product. I'm going to, you know, just do this times this, right? Each animal's type of thing here. This is still based on the mass. This is now based on that team. So if the elephant is equal to the max of these, so if the elephant is the heaviest, then 0, otherwise the sum of this team's weight. Same thing over here. Add those together, and 738,575. 738,575. Okay, total revenue from ticket sales. This is a tough one to finish with. All right, so now I'm gonna need. Actually, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to start by doing a tall board. So one of my subroutines here is tall board, which just takes everything and, like, you know, puts it ready for me. This color right here, it looks like orange to me, even though, I mean, I don't know, I'm colorblind. But the case does not call it orange. The case calls it yellow, and says that yellow is 1024 and green is 512. So this has a base price. This quote unquote yellow is 1024. And then the green color is in what, M6 here. Let's find out what color that is. real fast. There's that color. So this is 512. So now based on the color, I know the base price, looking up on here, returning here, locked, doing 0 if it's some other color. Right, so this is base price. Now I need to know how many rows back are they from the track, right? And then for every row back they are from the track, they're going to get cut in half, right? So, 2 to the -1 power. This is track 2. Let's say I got a color maze thing I'm going to do for this. But it's based on color, so I got to take this red and replace it. So using what? Find and replace. I'm going to find the color red, right? So if it's totally red, then I'm going to replace it with totally white. And do all that. Now I'm going to use my fill color, right? Just to fill the white ones with 0. Now I want to make the whole thing white just because my maze macro is based on colors being passable. So I want all this to be I mean, I don't care about those actually. So I want all those to be passable. Actually here, just so I can tell the difference, I'm gonna do that, right? So that's my track, but that all has to be the same color. So now I'm going to use maze solver with diagonal, which is this one. And that tells me, the distance, chessboard distance, right? Including diagonals using this, the text is sideways, but I don't care. How many, squares? This is 1 row, 2 row, 3 rows, 8 rows back, right? So now I got to cut it in half every time that happens. So first I got to do, in order to do a lookup, I'm avoiding using indirect these days. Instead, so I don't want to slow myself down. So X to call just is going to turn this into a lookup table. And then I look up the addresses on here, returning here. So now equals, I got to subtract 1 from this and then raise 2 to that many power times this, right? So 2 to the negative this minus 1, right? Not making it more negative, but first I've got to, I got to subtract 1 and then put that back, right? So if you're 1 row, that's the first row. So you get the base price. 2 rows back, cut in half. 3 rows, cut in half, cut in half. There we go. The other thing to keep in mind here is that the seat has to be filled. Not all the seats are filled. Some of them are blanks, right? So no blank, no money. So if this equals a person, then all that, otherwise 0. All right, so now I do this. And I take the sum of the tickets and we stop our timer and I say, thank you for watching. See you next time.